All right, let's do it. Mark, what you got
All right.
first?
All right, listen. There are themes I'm going to continually
Hey, Chucky,
pound.
can you lay out Trash for Cash that
Listen, Trash
for
for
new
Cash,
people?
if
Yeah.
you are new to watching Trash for Cash, listen, most of the time and most of the analysis we do at Tackle Trading is for stocks, trading setups, this and that. But I have an affection, and I have had for the last several months, for stocks under $5. Cheaper stocks, high volatility. They've been a lot of fun. They've treated me really well. And so, about a month, 5, 6, 7 weeks ago, whenever it was, I started bringing some of my ideas to here this little segment we do on Mondays. Stuff that I'm doing, something I'm looking at, things that I think there's opportunity. Now, these don't always have the best technical setups, but it's just a little something different out there. Penny stocks under $5, and we call it trash that makes cash. And I use that term trash in jest because I think this stuff's awesome.
And I use it quite specifically.
And there are others that use it quite literally,
Yes.
but to each their own. All right, so listen, I'm going to continue in my normal trading and in my trash picks. I'm going to pound the reopening theme. I was reading during the report here that there was like one of the reasons oil triggered a sell-off is Financial Times reported on some Brazilian COVID variant. Right? Listen, there's going to be a lot of variants. I'm sorry. I'm betting on reopening. I'm betting on reopening. I'm betting on reopening.
Are you
And
guys sick of those headlines? Variant headlines?
Listen, I'm sorry.
Like-
Humanity is going to fight through it and power through it. And I'm
Like
betting on it.
I'm done with variant headlines.
Yeah,
But
I'm
they,
done with
about it.
algos pick up on it, but it doesn't affect my long-term decision. If maybe something will in the next 6 months impact us, and we have to do analysis.
Yeah, I just saw it today, and I was like, okay, we got what do we have? Like 48 variants at this point, 98, 115. Okay, we're good.
No, but I am going to continue to bet and power through it until otherwise. So let's go to REI, and Tom Lee, who a CNBC commentator who seems to be always right, and he's this tech guy, this kind of all right. He used a phrase last week that I really appreciated. That he said, "Listen, you bet on epicenter stocks, and there is nothing more epicenter than oil." REI, little
Disney.
production company, or Disney.
Go ahead.
But one of the things I like, and I look for opportunities on REI in oil and different things, and I like following the price action, and I like price action that makes sense on what happened. So REI made a big volume push for a breakout on Wednesday, right? Market up, rambunctious oil breaking out of that level. Then what did energy do on Thursday? Everything sells off on Thursday, right? Brings the breakout down, continued weakness in energy on Friday. The price action makes a lot of sense. Breaks out pullback. I also, Tyler Craig special, like to look at volume. And this is one of the things that I've known for a long time, but Tyler emphasizes it on Trademasters all the time. When you get those breakouts or get those strong moves up, massive volume, and then declining volume on the way down. The whole price action in the broad markets on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I think fits this very well. I think REI wants to stretch its legs like many energy stocks. I think the volume patterns that we've seen, once again, big, massive volume back at the start of February, then trails off, trades sideways, another volume push, and then we trail off again which makes sense just with the more normal market action. I like REI. I've taken a stake in it. Oil goes. I think REI has a nice overperformance, and I love the chart story that it's telling me with the price action in the broad market.
Okay. Give us all three. Then
Oh,
we'll
no.
analyze it.
Let's talk. Yeah, let's talk. Specifically regarding the volume, Mark. Volume, if for those people that are familiar with the step system, volume is one of the indicators that we utilize to understand bullish retracements and the strength of the bullish retracement setup. And one of the key components, and I'm not going to teach it here, but one of the key components is on upward movements in price. You want to see a general increase in volume. On the downward movements in price, you want to see a general decrease in volume. And even though volume's green, volume's red, there's not more buyers than sellers. You can't buy something unless somebody sells it to you, and you can't sell something unless somebody buys it from you. And so volume is a measurement of participation more than anything else. And so when you have increasing participation to the bull side and decreasing participation to the bear side in a general bullish uptrend, what that tells us is these downward movements in price, this is just profit taking against this larger movement to the upside, which gives you a positive bullish indicator of continual price appreciation. And so that's what Tyler's talking about. He's talking about the step system and how the step system is our swing trading system, and volume certainly plays a role into that. You know, Mark, the question I got, because I do agree, if oil continues to run, REI will continue to run. I'm not sure oil does continue to run, and a lot of my energy analysis is a little bit more longer term on energy catching up to oil, whereas REI is already caught up to anything it needs to catch up to. If you don't get continual oil appreciation, does that impact REI?
From a cash flow perspective, no. From a directional perspective,
So it could
yes.
from any analysis that says 230 to 4. It
Yeah,
certainly
no,
could. Okay.
Yeah, no. From a really strong directional move, it's going to benefit these penny stocks in general in the energy space. Really, they outperform when oil is making a big move. If oil stabilizes, your XLEs, your Exxons, they can still see some really steady progress. It probably range bounds a lot of penny stocks in energy, which from a cash flow perspective, like me, no big deal, right? But for directional movement, yes.
That's kind of, that makes sense to me as well, because again, you've already there's no catch up here. It's a stock that went from 60 cents to 280, right? There's no catch up there. It already has plenty of momentum. So I do like it in general if you do continually see that, and I'm speaking directional, not from a cash flow perspective. I could see it hovering the 9, trigger above 2.5. I could see it from a directional. You're thinking what, naked put here?
No, there's only 250 strike prices, so it would buy and cover on the
so
call.
It's buy and perhaps cover. Okay, so REI, what's your second one?
All right, AHT. Third time I brought up AHT. I am going to pound
the table for
this
this one
thing into the ground. Listen, I believe in.
You better not say that. It could literally happen.
I once again, I like stories. We knew that the first time you test the 200-day moving average in forever, you're going to get slapped down. All right. That happened. Normal, right? Came up to test it again, was pushing up it against on Wednesday, got caught up in market action once on Thursday. Very normal for a penny stock like this to, once it gets caught up in the market action, going to have. It really tried to stretch its legs. There is a lot of pent up, and there's increasing institutional ownership in AHT with every passing week. When I check, institutional ownership starting to add. The theme on AHT is just so simple to me. A company that was having financial troubles, that came and had a huge amount of money. They had earnings since I last brought up AHT. Excuse me. They got money for years and years now. Only way AHT gets derailed is if the whole reopening thing blows up. So, and I'm going to have reopening. I like Jets, the airline ETF. I'm looking at Cinemark again. There's lots of reopening traditional plays I like. I love, from a penny stock perspective, there is nothing on a reopening theme. Now that Trivago's taken off and, jumped from 250 to 450, I just think this thing is set up. When it gets going again, as we saw, it tried to stretch its legs, got up to 450, get caught up, tried to stretch, slapped down by 200. The thematic setup is beautiful for HT. The finances, the individual story company line. I loved the commentary the company gave on earnings. I'm sorry, I'm going to pound HT. I love this stonk. I do. And I think you're gonna
You said
clear
they
that.
had a recent earnings report and they have money for years. They better have a lot of it because they lose a lot of it.
It's been a rough pandemic. I mean, go find an epicenter stock that
I'm
hasn't had a
sorry.
hard time.
The pandemic does not describe what has happened to this stock over time. Okay, we can blame the pandemic for certain things.
Mhm.
You can't blame the pandemic for being terrible before the pandemic.
Well,
You can't blame that. So this is like bottom feeding 101 for me. You like it? Do you like it at the lows? Are you waiting for the break of the 200?
well, I
Like,
own shares
well,
already.
yeah,
and
but I'm not talking your book. I'm talking in general.
like in general, if you want to be conservative on upward movement, clear that high set on last Wednesday,
Yeah,
Thursday for upward movement. That also clears the 200-day moving average. There's a lot of clear air to the upside. So you want to be conservative on upward movement directional, clear those Wednesday, Thursday highs.
Mhm.
For me, I'm going to be, I add to my position every 3 weeks on this one. I just really like it.
Got it. So your three, you got the AHT here, you have the REI, and you've got the PTE. Okay.
No, and I haven't brought up PTE.
Oh,
PTE.
PTE's next.
I don't bring up there's a lot of bio, listen, if you want, you could do like about 800 hours of content on biotech and pharmaceutical stocks under $5. There's 100 million of these
Yeah,
things, right? I mean, there's just a lot of it. When I look at it and the patterns on these stocks, they ain't exactly pretty. They ain't exactly pretty. And so what I do for this is one is from a sentiment standpoint. The sentiment of the people that believe in this little penny stock, they like it all the way. But then what I most importantly do is I want to see how it responds on test down to weekly or monthly moving averages. And if you pull up a weekly chart on old PTE, Matt was like, I am not. This is where I step away to go take a break when we're analyzing under $5 penny stocks. But one of the things I like on when I'm analyzing these penny stocks a lot, because you get really big, huge moves up and down on an intraday basis. I love to analyze when it comes down to weekly moving averages or levels of support it might be. I like to see clean bounces. And I've seen those in PTE from a analyzing, and when I've seen these similar patterns in other things, it's what separates. It's why I'm talking PTE right now from 100 different other biotech stocks. I think you got a range of clear air to the upside if you ever get any news. I like the defensive price action when you've had dips. Once again, these are not going to be your classic technical patterns, but PTE fits a theme, a theme of price action that I've seen in other smaller biotech stocks when they have individual upward movement. Now you clear this little range here is probably your entry signal for directional movement. This isn't really a cash flow play. This is more of a directional movement play. Options are only available at 250, so the cash flow element isn't really there. But you clear that little range, the short-term range, get upward movement, just like you did the last time it had down. Once again, gap up on volume, slides down, gets under moving averages, starts to lift off. The lift off on these things, when you do get lift off after these big multi-week declines, is pretty good from a percentage standpoint. So I like PTE as my third pick this week.
Okay. Out of all of them, I mean, here's the thing. I do see, obviously, the technical setups. I like the weekly analysis with this one. This is a choppy stock in many regards, day by day. So you're not talking about something that may be easy if you're trying to trade. I guess you got pretty clear support. You could set a stop at it. But
that was a fantastic way of describing this technicals.
Thank you, brother. But
they all hate my picks. But look at that uptick.
For some reason, I'm most interested in AHT from you, and I think it might be the resolve in your voice.
I mean, AHT is a company I've went deep on. Because a lot of the penny stocks I'll do 100 shares, right? I'll be like, I like this setup. I can cash flow this. I'll do 100 shares, and I kind of put it aside. I mean, I've went deep into theory and analysis, looking their books, looking at their cash position. I mean, I love the reopening theme in general, right? And so it starts with that. I love jets. Right now, the ETF on the airline thing, I like reopening plays in general.
Mhm.
And I just think that I just like the pick, I like the situation with this.
Well,
So.
and I can appreciate that, and I do understand it. But I think Matt, where your head's at is kind of where my head's been as well. I mean, this thing has been beaten and battered for the better part of 5-6 years as well. So it seems like it's got to it's got to start showing the market something. It's got to start showing some technicals. It's got to break back above the 200 period moving average. You seem to be having a lot of resolve around this company and your own personal research and opinion. So that grabs my attention in that. But from a technical perspective, I think I like REI the best, just from the pullback perspective. Matt, did any of these three grab your attention?
AHT, I need to know why they did this. Why the reverse split?
It was when they reverse split, were they trading at $5? So that means they were probably trading at like 40 cents. Yeah. Or no.
Yeah, like the reverse split. They were trading like, yeah, Tim, like
50 cents.
Yeah, 50 cents.
So they probably had to do it just to get the market back up to a price where they could price options and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that's not a good sign.
To recover that. It's a company that loses money. Mark seems like he has a fundamental perspective on it, not a technical one. If it's economy reopening up, it has not performed with economy reopening up outside of the 1 day movement. So there's a lot of evidence to suggest that the train left the tracks and it never caught. So this ultimately is a deep value fundamental bottom up, and if you haven't looked into it, you don't have a take on it, quite frankly.
Right. Yeah.
So I would say no for me on AHT. REI, a little bit of oil, if oil can get some catch up there, maybe. Mark, I know you discount a lot of this earnings here, right? As a trader, a lot of us, like on stocks that we follow, like that stops certain trades, right? But one thing I have noticed is we've done a little trash and cash and cash and trash, however you want to call it. These types of stocks move far quicker outside earnings than they do actually during earnings.
Every day's
volatility pick up. Look at the volatility. Look at these stocks on earnings. Hardly nothing.
It's
right.
No, earnings is like on a lot of these stocks, it's a non-issue. I mean,
I put a lot of emphasis on fundamentals and earnings, top-down approach to the market. I'm not sure those words are ever talked about in this neck of the woods.
No, you have so much sentiment and theme and momentum and so many things that in this whole world of stocks under $5.
Yeah, it's a different universe.
It is a completely different universe than normal trading, normal investing. Is very speculative, obviously, which is why you should be cautious and all that. But yeah, it's a different world. It is
like the 230 bounce on Microsoft more. But
that's where Coach Emily's the class that makes cash.
Yeah, the class that makes cash. All right, okay, I got you. Tim, do you have any?
I have one.
You got one?
Give you guys, and I really debated 4, but I finalized it down to 1. Give me TMBR. Now, here's a very simple, obvious disclaimer. I don't know much about this company. I just found it on a scan, right? So these little dinky
Can
pharmaceutical
you say that
companies,
disclaimer for me too? When I
yes,
do mine?
I
Okay.
don't spend a lot of time in this part of the market, but I did go through scans in this segment of the market, found some technical setups. It's a very simple read for me here. The volume has been picking up on the upward swings. It broke above the 200 period moving average. It now has backfilled into that 200 period moving average, has a couple of nice little candles here in reversal fashion as it's, and look at that weekly chart.
It's so garbage.
So gross. But that's the one I found. Break out of the 200, pull back to the 200, little $2 stock pharmaceutical play from New Jersey.
I mean, the thing about it is that, once again, I was talking about that with PTE. It's very normal. You get these run-ups in these pharma and biotech stocks, sell off, reform before they go on another run. So it fits the general price action pattern in this area of the trading universe.
Yep.
I don't know anything about the company.
Maddie, you got one?
I got one or two or three.
Tim, I don't hear the same conviction in your voice that I
don't
have
have
with
fundamental
AHD.
conviction for a company I've never looked at their financials. So
Yeah,
no.
we're participating.
We're trying, bro.
Now, what does
I read a scan today. All right.
Listen,
Mighty Matt now brings his trash. Let's all now make some cash.
I hate everything about this. Literally everything. All right. I'll give you my technical reads here. And again, earnings on DNN here. This is a uranium company. I like the consistency of the technicals here. First bounce off the 20-day. Little consolidation. And honestly, with all the market volatility last week, kind of like it. Trigger, finally. On some trash, we can talk about a triggering mechanism. Trigger would be above 1.2. Stop underneath 1 on Denison Mines Corporation. Do I need to give like 14 disclaimers on this?
No.
Like,
listen.
Can we all assume the
you.
disclaimers on this?
If I already didn't have a heavy allocation, I would join. I am in this little play.
Okay, good. So that's the uranium trash underneath $5 that could play out. The next one, Mark, we talked about oil, GSM. I like this one, and obviously there's no catch up, very similar to your energy play, and a very similar hesitation over the last, caught up in the volatility, very similar. The only difference is, Mark, your snapback testing support, this got a clean breakout above 4. And so this to me is
it really does have a clean breakout.
And you don't find that in this neck of the woods.
The other thing I like about this from a price action is you came down to the rising 9, pinpoint bounce, which shows there's no real fear. Algos immediately bought it up. Clean entry at a significant whole number, right? And you know, the thing I like about Ferroglobe, every time it breaks 4, it goes to 5. Prove me wrong.
Listen, I can't. You can't steal my stuff. Okay. Hold on. How much time do we got? No, I kid. I won't do it. All right. And then last little tech play here, IDEX, IDEX, fits a similar methodology to your deep retracements, test of the 50. Don't love it. The one I love is technical. I do like the DNN's deeper pullback, stop under 1, and I do like the DNN, not the DNN, but the GSM breakout.
You know, and the whole thing about uranium, we pull up CCG, which is our dirty, sexy money. I mean, the thing I like about uranium plays in general, and you know, and I'm conservative, cash flow, all of that on these plays, but I just love the increasing chatter. Like Michael Burry, big short guy, talking about uranium. You hear more and more talking heads bring up uranium. Now, uranium went a decade in stock market analysis where nobody brought up the subject for like 10 years.
Literally nobody.
You know, and you're getting chatter, and we saw this chatter heading into the year, which is one of the reasons we put Kamiko on our dirty, sexy money list, performing nicely year to date so far. But you know, I like areas where somebody can come out and say, yeah, we like uranium, or somebody mentions uranium. There's lots of bullish catalysts that can happen out of nowhere for uranium, which is one of the reasons I like to play a lot.
Yeah, I like CCJ up here, by the way. So uranium stock, if it's under 5, riding the coattails of some of the move in uranium, at least I can map my head around that one a little bit. So yeah, a couple interesting ideas in there. Rig still is probably my favorite play under $5 though, but we brought that one up a little bit ago. I like potential
Yeah, but
break here.
not all under 5 is trash. Just,
I have fond memories
although
of this company
I
over
was
the
going to
years.
say something positive about Rig. Rig's trash too. Rig's
It's been
terrible.
trash.
What are we
It's been
talking about?
trash.
Rig's a
It's been
terrible,
trash.
the horrible fundamental company. Like,
They might just ride the
no,
coattails in
no,
energy
like
though. So
Rig did their best to become trash, and they're trash.